Welcome to No Tourists Allowed, a podcast where two travel industry executives with a combined 71 years on the inside of travel and technology give up their secrets to do the thing everyone wants to do. Travel better, pay less, and see more of the world. Here are your hosts, Mike Putman and James Ferrara.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Putman.
And I'm James Ferrara. Welcome to No Tourists Allowed. Well, we have our usual array of tips and information and subjects that we're going to cover with you on this episode. We hope you're having a good time. We're having a great season. But we have a very special guest with us that we're going to start off with this time, Mike. And, something very near and dear to my heart, which is a topic we haven't really gotten into before, which is wellness. Now, of course, I could be the expert coach here, right? I've got the guns and everything.
Is this your alter ego coming through?
We're going to dispense with the fakery and bring in a real expert, someone who's a nationally certified health and performance coach with over 20 years experience, although he doesn't look like it. He holds degrees in both exercise science and nutrition and had the privilege to work with Fortune 500 companies, executives, professional athletes from the NBA, the NFL. We want to hear more about that. And even the Olympics. What's really interesting for me is that he has been an important part of ALG Vacations. That's Apple Leisure Group, one of the largest leisure organizations in the world, and a very close partner of my company's. So, and there he advocates for health and wellness in the travel industry, motivates staff, travel advisors to maintain a healthy lifestyle. He focuses on all aspects of wellness to best assist his clients in their self-care journeys. I like that. His passion is helping people live their best lives. Well, why wouldn't we want to have David Pritchard with us on this special episode at No Tourists Allowed? David, welcome.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you so much, Mike. It's my pleasure to be here. Great introduction. I love that. Wonder who wrote that introduction.
Well, listen, and when I said you don't look like it, I didn't mean that you don't look well. I mean that you don't look old enough to be at this for so long. But we're happy to have your expertise. And, before we jump in, there's a lot to talk about here. But before we jump in, we'd like to get to know you a little bit. And Mike has a little tradition here at No Tourists Allowed that we're going to ask him to share with you.
One of the things that we do with our guests is we run them through a series of rapid fire questions. So if you'll just respond with a word or maybe a short phrase, we'll go through 6 or 7 questions. And this will help our listeners and viewers find out a little bit more about how you travel. And it's nice to see you're sitting outside. Are you sitting outside?
I am outside. Listen, I live in Wisconsin. It is almost November, and it is about 75 degrees, and there's a warm breeze. And so I said, I'm going to show all our fellow travel professionals just how beautiful Wisconsin is in fall. This is a little unusual, but I'm here.
Yeah. You see a lot of these fake screens. And for those of you who are just listening and not viewing, David has this beautiful fall trees in the background. You can tell he's outside, but it's hard sometimes to tell if these are fake images in the back or this is real, but I can see how much movement that this is real. So let's kick it off, David.
Okay.
What's your favorite hotel or hotel chain and why?
Well, I'd have to definitely say our Hyatt Inclusive Collection. And the reason for that is just the family. They make you feel like you're at home.
That's excellent. I'm proud to say I was on the Hyatt Inclusive Collection board last year, advisory board last year. And those are amazing properties. We're used to seeing you outside in Mexico or the Caribbean conducting a wellness class.
Yes, right.
Movement or yoga or something. So I thought maybe we were going to get.
The beach is my gym for sure. And that's what I love about those properties is that as much as I love that they have facilities like gyms and the fitness centers, and those things are great and I love them, but I really encourage, guests to just get out and walk on the beach and take advantage of that backdrop, because you're probably not going to have that at home. So I'd rather you have, the water, the beach as the best source of inspiration, and the fact that you can move around, you can go for walks and stretch and whatever else you might want to do.
And James, I'm gonna have to one up you on this. This pendant was actually given to me by Fernando Garcia, who was the guy who founded the original properties that turned into Hyatt's all-inclusive products. He's passed away at this point, but he owned several hotels in Mexico and was the originator of that. And James, also IntelliTravel actually had a event this past weekend at the Hyatt Zilara in Mexico. Excuse me, in Jamaica.
Yeah. We did our wedding and honeymoon event, which we call the romance event.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it had great fun.
I've stayed at that property several times for golf tournaments, the Jamaica Pro-Am, and then I've taken my family there as well. Great, both of those great properties, the Ziva and Zilara. All right. So also tell us your favorite destination, David. What is that, and what makes that destination special for you?
Oh man. Oh God. That's like trying to pick your favorite kid. And I only have two, but I would have to say, just because of how I grew up, and I grew up in California, and Mexico was always such a close neighbor for us growing up, and it wasn't always luxurious resorts as a kid. It was sometimes just driving over the border and and finding a beach. And so as I've gotten older and in the travel industry and being a part of it, going to Mexico a lot for work, I have just grown accustomed to just having so many incredible nurturing relationships there. And it really does feel like I'm going home. The Mexican people are some of the most resilient, passionate, and sincere people I've ever met. And I have to say, all of our destinations around the world, I feel that way. But there's something about Mexico just kind of gives me a little bit more when I go there. My heart is just a little fuller with the people, and it does help. I made it a point in the last couple of years to learn Spanish, so I could do some of my sessions when I'm there in Spanish versus English, and they've certainly really appreciated that, and that has really deepened in my connection there. So I'd probably definitely say Mexico.
It's great. Mike and I would tell you that we think it's a good tip anywhere in the world to attempt to use the language. It's a respectful thing to do, right?
100%.
So, David, what's your favorite airline?
I would say, just because I've used them so much, I fly out of Chicago a lot. And so I fly on American quite a bit. And I've gotten to know, I'm on the same flight pretty much all the time, there and back. And I've gotten to know the crew. And it's something, that's what I think it makes our industry so unique. All of the different touch points that get us to destinations and gets us to travel, is all of those connections you make of companies that help get you there. And who would have ever thought? I mean, when I walk onto a plane and I'm walking in with other passengers, and they hear the flight attendant or even the pilot say, hey, David, how you doing? Nice to see you again. It kind of just stops them, because it's not like that for everyone. And I think that's the luxury of being in the travel industry, is that we get to nurture those relationships. We get to know all the different parts and pieces that go into travel. And so American is really probably one of those airlines that I really have a deep connection and relationship with for that reason.
Got it. And when you fly on American, do you fly in an aisle seat, or are you a window guy?
Oh, I'm an aisle seat. Yeah, definitely aisle seat. Yeah, I'm tall, so I kind of like having that control to be able to stand up and get up whenever I want. And so I definitely prefer an aisle.
And do you check your bag, or do you carry on?
Carry on. No checking along with now. At this point in time in my life, even with my kids, my family knows if it can't fit in a carry-on, we have to redo it.
Yeah, good. Well, great. Well, that kind of wraps up our rapid fire questions. Can you just give a brief overview to our audience, like what your job entails? What do you do? What kind of on a more practical level?
Yeah, and I really do. And I know many people you might talk to at ALG, they probably say they have the best job in the world, but I really do feel like I have the best job in the world to be able to work with our colleagues and help nurture and elevate their well-being journey is one that is just is so fulfilling, and it really encompasses meeting our colleagues where they are. I mean, we have a very robust well-being program, everything from mental health, which we all know is incredibly important, to physical health, social health, emotional health, and really be able to, I really see myself as kind of that concierge of well-being for our company, and to be able to help steer our colleagues in the right direction, to help curate those support pieces that they need, that they're looking for, so that we know that they're always feeling supported, whether at work or at home or anywhere along their life journey. So I kind of really do see myself as that concierge, that coach, to kind of really, go along that journey with them in well-being from start to finish.
So tell me a little bit more. What does that entail on a day-to-day basis?
So, well, that's a great question, Mike. And when we think about, if you had asked me that question maybe 5.5 years ago, pre-pandemic, I would have said that it was a really in-office program, right? I mean, even though the scale of our company was still global, we really thrived ourselves on this experience-based well-being, right? How are we showing up for you at work? And that certainly still is the case, but we really had to pivot our program to more of a virtual program, right? We really had to pivot our program to a place where you were able to access support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so, and we were already in the process of moving towards that platform, but we really had to fast forward that. And so now it is really about making sure our strategic plan of 5 different languages across our company, making sure that our program is being relevant for destination, so that all of our programming, all of our information, all of our support is really mattering to all of our cultures that are around ALG, so that we know that we're making sure that we service them with everything that they need. So whether it's they need help with healthy eating, whether they need help with stress management, whether they need help with ergonomics of their desk and musculoskeletal support, even financial health and things like that. So we're really kind of a very holistic approach when it comes to well-being, because we know it's bigger than just going to the gym or a diet. That's not what well-being is anymore. It's really about how you're feeling, how you're showing up for yourself, really. And so we really try to get those touch points there, because we know that every colleague has a different jumping in point. It's not always going to be, I want to lose 30 pounds. It can just be, listen, I need to sleep better, right? Who doesn't want that? Or I might have some musculoskeletal health issues, or I might have a family member that's going through a health journey that I want to kind of grab some support for them. So we really kind of meet them where they are.
Wow, that's a really big goal, but all the good goals are really big, right? And visionary like that. And I always say in our businesses, an unhappy employee cannot deliver good service. So it's really important to help employees be whole people, whole, happy, fulfilled, safe people. So I really applaud you for that. It's a great philosophy.
And James, that's a great point. I mean, we even look at data. If we look at surveys over the years, we can actually connect our colleagues' health and wellness to how they're feeling and how then they're showing up at work. We know if their cup is full, then the guest cups are going to be full. And that's really important to us. I mean, our first priority is making sure that our colleagues are safe and healthy and fulfilled. And we know if we do that, then it's going to pass on to the guest experience.
Yeah. Now, do you get involved in wellness for the guests also, David, or in those programs?
Not as much. So I sit primarily on the colleague facing side, but just in my experience of travel and working with teams in destinations and having that experience, and then also seeing kind of the whole touch points and ecosystem of what happens at resorts and at properties, that I do find myself in meetings with our commercial team and collaborating on ideas and special projects, just because we really feel like those connection points. I mean, our colleagues are guests as well. So to be able to nurture our colleagues and to be able to understand what they need, not much is different on the guest side, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. And people really seek out this part of their lives and their persons when they travel. And for a lot of people, it's going to the gym at the resort or in the hotel, but it goes beyond that, right? I mean, I've had great experiences at Canyon Ran in the Southwest doing Tai Chi early in the morning, an incredible view of the desert. Like, wellness can be so many different things to people. What about you when you travel personally? Have you had good wellness experiences that you want to share?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I have gotten to, and maybe it's because I have gotten a little older, and I've had some knee issues. I have gotten to fall in love with walking. I used to be a runner back in the day. I used to do some marathons and things like that, and I have made it a point, if I'm going to travel, and I don't, whether it's international or domestic, no matter where it might be, I'm going to make it a point to get out there and walk. I mean, so so to go into a gym at a property or a hotel just doesn't excite me anymore. I'd rather get out into that neighborhood and that area. And I tell this, and I encourage this to not just colleagues, but even friends or family who are saying, "Where should I go? What should I do?" And I'm like, "Well, if you're going to go there, bring your walking shoes. Bring comfortable shoes. Get out there with the locals." And try to find places that they're going to. And I part of me is planning. I love to research and I love to get in there and really find feedback and reviews on where to go, where the locals go. I just was in California for a meeting and I stayed in Santa Monica, and I made it a point to eat at all kind of local, small, family-owned restaurants. I made it a point to not try to take Ubers and try to walk as much as I can. And it just allows you to see so much of the destination that you would never see. So back to your point, James, about wellness and well-being, I really do feel, it truly meets you where you are. I mean, it's a sense of peace and joy, and it's about being present. For me, is without getting too sappy, it is really truly my mission in this second half of my career is to help people live longer. That's number one. Absolutely. Live longer, live better. But number two is to help them become more present in their life. Because I really feel like that is a big issue in our industry, especially, is the ability to just be in the moment, to just understand that, all of the things that, you're worried and stressed out about are worthy of your investment, of your energy. I'm not saying to forget all the problems, but I'm also saying to just take the time and reflect and to just be in the moment. And I surely, coming off of Ascend and having 1,500, travel professionals over the course of 3 days and really forcing them to be present is not always easy. But, trying to make it a mission to really, tell them how important it is to put your phone away in a conversation, close your computer screen at a workshop. And I know the bookings are going to be there, the emails are going to be there, but to really allow yourself to learn and grow and make connections maybe you wouldn't make if that laptop is open or if that phone is in your hand.
Yeah, well, that last point might be a little controversial for people, but as I travel around the world, I wish more people would pay less attention to social media and their phones. It's a joyful thing, and I do post on social media, but I try not to let it take me out of the moment or to do it while I'm experiencing something. We have sort of Instagram kids all over the world who are running through fountains and taking photos and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, doing dances everywhere. And I think, right behind you is a 12th century church that's really cool that you should go see. And you're out here doing some kooky dance. Um, but it's a matter of finding the right balance so that you can be present, right? And I think social media and our phones can take us away from that if we don't do it correctly.
Yeah, and I love that. In my background, I'm a physical therapist. I have a master's degree in PT and kinesiology, and so I have made a living early on trying to get people to get stronger and get healthier. And the fact of the matter is, I really didn't care about if you were present. That wasn't a factor in my regimen with you. And when I think about now, and I think about especially our industry, we have really leaned into this work-life balance piece, and I don't believe in it, and I'm gonna tell you why. I believe balance is allowing you to celebrate multitasking, and I really feel like if we can shift into this harmony mode, and what harmony allows you to do, work-life harmony allows you to be in the moment of whatever you're doing and do it 110%. Like right now in this conversation with you both. I surely have about 50 emails waiting for me when I'm done. And I have a project, and I'm sure the both of you got a lot of other things going on. But to just allow yourself, and this takes a lot of practice, and I'm still not good at it, is to allow myself to just be 100% present in this conversation, give it 110%. And what happens is clarity and energy and creativity and just this sense of just like, this is what it is. Now that can happen in an email. That can happen on a call, in a meeting, in a booking, in a conversation with your kid, whatever that is. If you can shift this mindset of just, I'm doing this at 70, I'm doing this at 30, I'm doing this at 40, is not healthy for us. It really, really isn't. So if we can shift that mindset to be like, I am all in on this meeting. I am all in on this email, whatever that might be. It really gives you the freedom to enjoy it. And it gives you that peace of just being like, and then the work in that higher level quality work shows up. I promise.
Yeah. I often think of multitasking as being mediocre at a bunch of different things.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, look, we didn't expect, I don't think, to have this conversation. I thought we'd be talking about Pilates and yoga. And so this is really cool and very much in line with the ethos here at No Tourists Allowed, where we like to talk to people about traveling in a different way, traveling in a more memorable, more authentic way, and not being tourists in the typical sense of the word. So this really does fit in with what we like to talk about.
That's good. If I could just interrupt that for a second too. So James, I've been in the travel industry, supporting the travel industry for 17 years now. And I can tell you, I can count on my hands how many Pilates and yoga conversations I have had. And I swear to you, it is about stress. It is about money. It is about sleep. It is about, should I stay in the industry? I don't know if I can anymore. Those are the conversations. Those are the deep, relevant conversation that our industry is finally having now. It's about, hey, how do I thrive? I might need to lose a little weight. I got to get healthier. We're going to have that conversation. But it's about how to be more productive. How do I sleep? And how do I manage stress? And those are those meaningful conversations we're having now, because those are those conversations that are real. And not to say that Pilates and yoga isn't good for you. It is. Those are great tools that could help a lot of people. But I think if we're really trying to make a difference in our industry around health and well-being, we're having those conversations where we're really turning the light on, we're addressing the elephant in the room, and we're not shying away from it. Because that's what's really important. Because that's what's going to keep That's what's going to keep us better.
I love that. Now, the question is, can we talk to the airlines and the airports about their end in all of this? Because, your company, my company, Mike's company, we kill ourselves to make the experience for our guests and our team members a beautiful one. And then we turn our guests anyway over to the airlines and the airports, and they get this just abusive, stressful experience, right? So we need to get you to consult for some airlines and airports, I think.
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? When you've done all of what you can to create a magical and beautiful experience for your clients and the guests, and then it only takes one thing at an airport or whatever. And here's what I have told, and this, I don't know if this will resonate, but I don't know. I used to be a Midwest Express guy. I don't know if you remember Midwest Express back in the day, right? And so you'd get the cookie and you would get this, 2 and 2 seat. You're in business class, even though you're paying, economy fare, right? And when that changed into that airline went away, and then we went into just, kind of regular economy, and it just was the way of life. And I said, and I give this advice because I do travel a lot, is my expectations, not that I put them low, but I put my sights on what is really important to me, right? And surely for the airline experience, for many people, it is important. But I bring I make sure I bring my water on the plane. I have my own snacks. I have my podcast. I have my work. And this is a really important thing to remember, because it really does dovetail into something that I'm really passionate about, which is well-being at work. But it's really about taking ownership of your own experience, right? The last thing I'm going to do is let an airline ruin my trip. Now, I have had cancellations where it's been a pain in the butt, and it has kind of ruined my day and ruined my trip. But I try to find, what's the worst case scenario here, right? How can I find gratitude in this somewhere, somehow? And so I really tell a lot of my friends and family members, when you're traveling, just try to create your environment the best you can, because your goal is to get to that destination. And when you get to that destination, hopefully everything is lined up the way it should be, and you're going to have that magical experience that you're going to have. And don't let that, whether that's the transportation or the transfer, and get in the way of that experience that has been waiting for you and has been crafted and created. And some of it has probably taken sometimes a year or even 2 years to plan. So do whatever you can to own that experience. And I think that can really help.
We normally ask at the end of these segments for a tip that you might have for our listeners on how to travel better, how to get through the airport, something you do when you arrive at the hotel. But you really answered it without us asking it. And I think it's a wonderful tip, which is to keep your sights on what's coming and what you've invested so much in. And the process of getting there, getting to it is secondary, right? And don't let it overtake the real prize, which is the trip experience itself. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I mean, it's really been a pleasure having you. This is a great and kind of a first for us to approach this topic, and such an important topic. I think what you do for your teams is absolutely wonderful. We've got at my company, we've got a little taste of it by working with you in the past, and I think we should do it some more.
Oh, anytime. I love this industry. It's an industry that is incredibly unselfish, and they don't put themselves first very often. And so I would just say my last words here would just say, I encourage all of you just to make sure you prioritize your health, prioritize your self-care. You're important, and we want you to be your best. We want you to be doing what you're doing, which is the love of travel, for a very long time. And in order to do that, you have to prioritize yourself and make sure that you are taking care of your health and your well-being. So I'm here for all of you. This was fantastic. And thank you, James. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much.
All right, David was quite the guy, James. A lot of information about wellness and good things to have on the podcast.
It went to a place I didn't expect, Mike. Sorry, but he's worked with NFL players and Major League Baseball players. And so I thought we'd be talking about that. Maybe drop some
Yeah.
names. And I thought we'd be talking about, I don't know, pumping iron. But
Or pumping iron on the beach while you're on vacation. But yeah,
right, yeah, we got this very thoughtful, larger idea of well-being and wellness, and I really liked it. Gave us a lot to think about. I have to say this. I'll add this one bit. I just recently went to a doctor for a normal checkup, and I had to get a blood test beforehand. So he's looking at the blood results while I'm sitting there, and he says, "You've been traveling again." And I said, "Yeah, how do you know that?" And he said, "Well, where were you?" I said, "Well, I was at a conference in Italy and there's a bunch of other things." He said, mm-hmm. And he said he could see it in the test results. My blood sugar was up, my sodium was up, my cholesterol was up, this, that. And he said, when you're traveling, it's really difficult to stay healthy. That you're eating out in restaurants, maybe overindulging. I mean, look, we were in Italy, like we overindulged a little bit. We had a antipasto board for 10 people for just the two of us. And you're sitting a lot. He said, "Oh, you're at a conference. That means you're sitting on your butt in a ballroom for, whatever." And he said, "You got to try to push yourself to get your steps in, get exercise, to eat carefully, to do some things when you're on the plane so you're not sitting or laying down for 6 or 7 hours." It is something for us to think about, how to get wellness into our travel and how to protect our well-being, whether you're in the travel industry, like a lot of what David was talking about, or you're just a frequent traveler like we are, right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you count your steps on your app?
On my watch.
You
Yes,
do.
I do. I do.
Mike is showing me his watch.
I don't necessarily do it when I'm at home other than the weekends, but when I travel, I do. And it's amazing. I mean, when I go to London or Europe or Scotland, the amount of steps I take are like 10 times, literally 10 times what I would do at home. And it's, using public transport, which public transport is great, but it's not like using an Uber because you're not being let off at the door. You got to walk a certain amount of distance to get to the train station, tram, whatever you're taking. This whole thing about the Mediterranean diet, I'm not sure it's the diet as much as it is the Mediterranean exercise because people live a little a little more healthy and not so much time in cars and more in public transport and walking around. And European cities are more compact, so it's more conducive. Walking around, a normal American, not a large city, it's going to be tough to get around. And our public transportation isn't quite as good either. So anyhow, but David was a great guest. Glad we had him on, and look forward to welcoming him back again. And look forward to speaking to all of our listeners next week as well.
Yeah, and we're getting to that point where we're going to announce another giveaway. We're giving away a Virgin cruise on here.
Virgin Voyage, 7-day for 2, and then trip to Jamaica, all inclusive.
Right, that trip, all inclusive trip to Jamaica. So maybe next week we'll start to announce the next run up to a big giveaway. So make sure you're back with us. Tell your friends to join us. We're going to give away some travel in addition to all the hopefully interesting and valuable travel information that we share with you each episode. So thank you for being here. No Tourists Allowed. This is James Ferrara and
Mike Putman. See you next time.
See you next time. Thanks.